Okay, here's all the cards. 6-deck Blackjack, dealer stands on all 17s. No surrender. Blackjack pays 3-2. Shoe number 7, testing the Chuck Temple system against flat betting. I'll just say this once right now. This is actually take 2 of this shoe. The first time I actually had to discard a shoe, and I'll explain why. Very early on in the shoe, the Chuck Temple got deep down on the negative progressive side of things, up to the point where it was all in. I believe for less than the 40% CLB. And as it turned out, it got a pair of aces, the player hand. So you have to split that, and that's fine. So the flat better, of course, had enough in his bankroll to split that, but the Chuck Temple didn't. But you know, if you've watched my other videos where the natural flow of the cards gets screwed up, I can usually account for that. And worst case, I have to run a second shoe for you know, one for each hand. I mirror them, which is a lot of work. Anyways, everything was going okay, and I actually made a mistake on the play, because in the split, if I remember, yeah, 2 more aces came on one of the hands, and then ended up with a soft 18 to a dealer. I don't even remember. Whatever it was, I did the wrong play, and so I got everything all screwed up. I went over and over and over it to make sure. Well, one, obviously by doing the wrong strategy for the flat better, that screwed things up. But then it also, no matter what, it really would have screwed things up for the Chuck Temple. And I wasn't sure of that. I thought that at the time when I was running it, that, let me just even these stacks out a little better. I thought that when I was running it that I had it worked out, and then on review I didn't. And it happened within the first 10 hands. So I decided I would just scrap that whole shoe and run it again. So it's been a little longer till I could get back around to having the time to run shoe number 7 again. Oh, oops. Oh well, it's alright. I'm not doing this right. Doesn't, you know, we're just introducing a little bit more randomness into the shuffle here. There we go. That's how it's supposed to go. Anyways, I couldn't publish that video. I certainly would have gotten caught, or, you know, observant viewers would have picked up on my mistake. So while I'm talking about that, let me give a little shout out to Chip Formula. That's his YouTube username, not a formula for getting chips. Chip Formula on shoe number 5 here in Chuck Temple noticed that what did I do wrong? I made some kind of I paid the player on a hand when he should have lost, so the dealer had 21, and then ironically, as he also pointed out, just a couple minutes later, I'm boasting about how good I've gotten about summing up your hand or the cards on the fly, and there I am making a mistake, thinking that the dealer had busted when in fact they had 21. So what that, I had to go back through it, and it didn't mess up the flow of the cards. It just screwed up the the player should not have gotten paid, and then it messed up the Chuck Temple progression a little bit. It was resolved within maybe 5 more hands. And I put in the description for that video, shoe number 5, that what the correct and chip stack totals should be. So that was taken care of. I think that's fine now. That was just the cover card down there. As it turned out, in those hands that were that came after that mistake, I made another small mistake, which was not increasing or following the positive progressive side of the Chuck Temple system correctly. So I was able to get that all lined up properly as well. These things are going to happen. If this has happened in other shoes and it hasn't been caught, I can try to go back and discover where it is, and what that proper outcome would be, or sometimes if it's something that can't be resolved, these things will happen in the casino. Oops, that's a very deep penetration, but that's okay. These things happen in the casino. Dealers make mistakes. You hear me talk about this kind of thing a lot. Maybe I'll talk about that during this shoe. 50 units for each side. This is Chuck Temple over here. This is the flatbedder on this side. I'm not sure if you can see the tags or not, but they are there, at least for me, so I don't get confused. As regular viewers will know that I'm prone to getting confused at times. I do everything I can, burn card, to try to keep everything straight, but it gets kind of hard between dealing the cards, running 2 separate systems, and everything else like that. Okay, so very quickly, here's the flow chart for the Chuck Temple system. My most detailed analysis so far has been in the first shoe, so go back and watch that one. I don't want to waste too much time talking about it, or just take a look at it here. It's a flow chart. When you win, you follow. When you win, you follow the green arrows wherever they may be. When you lose, you follow the red arrows. When we get down to here, I'll talk about this. And this is based on units, so 1 unit, 2.2 units, etc. Okay. And I burned a card already. Each player starts with a single unit. And here we go. Well, that's always a nice way to open up the shoe. One and a half, 1.5. Take those off before we reveal. Okay, and that's done. And I'm going to put that on top of that stack there to help me remember that we're in the positive progressive side of things. Even though I did that in that shoe that I had to discard, I did still forget. So again, with this system and others like it, positive or any positive or negative, you have to have a mechanism that where you keep track of what your next wager should be. 1. Okay. I didn't bring up the basic strategy. If I have to, I'll run off and get it. Play by perfect basic strategy. Usually I keep it here with me. Chuck Temple, after the first loss, increases the wager to 2.2 units. So that quarter is represents a half unit. Most of you are used to that. Those dimes represent tenths of a unit. 2.2. Hopefully I won't get into a situation where I question my knowledge of basic strategy. People do it. Terrible idea to split those tens. 12, 22. Okay, so, oh, I forgot to keep a loss column running over here, but it doesn't matter for now. You lost one, and so then when you get back 2.2, you close this sequence progression with a gain of 1.2. Take those off, and after just about any win for Chuck Temple, it goes right back to the top. Single unit wager. I'll bring out the chart as needed. Otherwise, like I said, refer to it in the first shoe. 20, 13, 18. All right. And again, I'm going to put a little something different up here, if you can see that, to mark that I'm on the positive side. Because the way Chuck Temple works is after your first win, you repeat the 1 unit wager, and then if you win that, then you go 1.5, and then you just go alternate back and forth, 1.5 and 1. Maybe I need another way to help me remember that, you know, which one I'm on. Do a little ace check here. It's not there. 20 stands. 20. Push. Actually, that's the maneuver. Repeat the play. No change in the bet. And well, I don't need to ace check because you wouldn't hit that anyways. 19. Okay. I am going to make it a little easier for myself. I'm going to switch that out for half units. So now after your second consecutive win for a single unit, you go to 1.5. Anyways, I'll be very glad to get out of this system. No offense to Chuck, but I don't see this system working. Again, Chuck's going up to 2.2. If it works for him, I'm happy for him. If it works for you, if you want to try it, good luck. I don't think any of the shoes have really been that great. Well, let's just have a look. And let's see, one there, and it's 1.5 right there. Then we need to add a half and 0.2 to get to 2.2. So you close that for a gain of 0.7. You know, a lot of systems might say things like, well, yeah, you may lose once in a while, but your winnings will offset any losses that you have. Sometimes, maybe. 20 stands. 13, 23. And you know, this Chuck system does work up to a point. If you are getting, you know, choppy back and forth action, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, you'll do very well with this, as you will with most negative progressive systems. The problem with seems to me any system that gets into I don't need to check, I just look, 14, 21, into negative progression is when you get on a bad losing streak. And while that's no good for any system, it gets much worse for a negative progressive because your bets just keep getting larger. And a lot of these systems will say things like, well, you just simply won't lose this many hands in a row, and if you do, you'll be okay because we have it set up so that you'll win. Yeah. But what about when it goes even farther? And if you've watched some of these, I think we've had 13 in a row, 13 losses in a row. And one of the deficiencies or the weaknesses, I think, 17, 13, 23, of the Chuck Temple system, and Fibonacci does this as well, is, and you'll see it when I bring out the chart. Now maybe I'll talk about it. By the way, that was hand 11. I usually call out after the first 10, or each 10. Another one of those. Split, you get a single card on each. They will not pay time and a half, because it's not the first two cards. 16, 21, 20. So basically this one's a loss, and this one is a win. So overall, that's a push. So we will just repeat the action. What was I talking about? $15, $20, push. Oh, I was talking about losing streaks, and something that happens here on Chuck Temple is, in order to get out of your negative progression, you need to win after 4 consecutive losses. You need to win 2 hands in a row, and that's not always going to work out. And then you just keep going farther and farther, down the hole. And we may see that yet in this hand. In this shoe. It's still early. There we go. All right, play your blackjack again. Increasing now to 1.5. Come on. Take a peek. It's not there. 16. Too many. 26. So that 20 is going over here in your what I sometimes call your loss column. Chuck calls it your lost balance, your CLB, current lost balance, and that will may come into play once we get down, if we get on a bad losing streak. And like I said, I'll talk about that if and when that comes up. It does seem like it happens just about every shoe. 9 to a 4. I am pretty sure that's a double down. I in most cases love to double down. Let me just go get my sheet and make sure, because 4 is kind of on the cusp here. Just 1 second. While I'm pulling that up, I should say, let me just reiterate what I almost always say, and that is that you should take the strategy card with you when you go to the table. You get tired and you start forgetting. You want to make sure you're playing right, because it could make all the difference. So yes, that is a double. Plus, you know, I've said this. I've said so many things so many times before. 19. That there's invariably you're usually not playing like this alone at the table. Usually you're playing with, there's usually other people, and when there are other people, there are always questions. Oh, what should I do? What should I do here? So that's 4.4. You were down 1.5, so that's 2.9. Is that right? Whatever. So I'm going to give you, make this easy on myself, I'm going to give you 4.5 and take a dime. It's all the same. You closed out your cycle. Oops, how about we do this way and this way? Oh, I'm breaking my own rules here. my own personal rules. And what I just did there, where the cards were still out, and I took my money before the cards were taken away, that's fine. But I generally don't like to put out my next wager until the cards have been cleared away. And the reason is let's just say it's like this, and you already won, okay, you got paid, and then you put your next bet out there, and everybody else at the table busted, or the dealer got 21 and everybody else lost, and the dealer goes like this, just pretend there's more chips around here. They pick up the cards, and they take the cards, and they scoop up everything because everybody lost. Okay, no problem, right? Yeah, everybody lost, but you already got paid, took your money away, and put out your wager for the next hand. Okay, so I always advise, don't do that. Once the table is clear, then put your wagers out. I like to think, at least, that it's an honest mistake on the part of the dealer. You never know. They may be advised by their bosses, hey, look for opportunities to rake in extra chips. Is it unethical? Of course it is. But if they catch you unawares, 21. You're out whatever your wager is. Now, if it's $1, but then if it's $1, it's not a big deal. But it's just one more dollar you got to try to make up over the house edge, which is hard enough as it is, if it's even possible. Okay, let's see. It's not there. This is easily a double down. You don't have to look at that. It's about the worst card, second worst card you could get in that situation. Now you're just counting on the dealer to bust, and he does not. One thing that most systems, well, none that I've seen address, and Chuck Temple is no different, is what to do in your progression when you have multiple wins or losses due to splits and double downs. Without any other guidance or specification, I just treat it like a regular loss and continue down to follow the progression as if it was just a single loss, not a double loss like that one was. So right now we're going this way. We doubled down on 2.2. We lost. We don't jump down an extra step. If you want to, that's up to you. I have to come up with something, and I have to be consistent, so that's what I do. So we're just at 4.4. This is hand 20. So I'm guessing we're going to get way more than what we usually get, which is usually get at least 45. 13 and 17. That's a win. So now there's that's 4.4. There's the doubled 2.2s right there. You're still closing out your sequence down a unit this time, whereas normally you would have closed it up by a little bit. See, so look, I take the cards away, or actually I would, if I only have so many hands, but if I were you, like, while the cards are still out here, pull your money away. As soon as you're paid, pull your money off the table, okay? Then dealer collects the cards, then you put out new wagers, okay? All right, let me move these to the side so that I can continue to keep track. And you're back at the top of the sequence for Chuck Temple. Single unit wager. Put this up here. Oh, soft 16 to a 2. Let's just make sure. Pretty sure that you don't double down as often to the 2. So you just take a card. That's hard 16. Stand there. 7, 15, 25. All right. Well, put that there, put a little marker there. Moving on. 11. You can double that. Single card. 21. I forgot to look at that, didn't I? What do you not want? Most important card in the game, not the 10. Most important card in the game, in my opinion, is the 8. It's either the card you want or the card you don't want. It's the card that helps you, that gives you the win, or the card that helps you lose. Helps you lose, causes you to lose. My opinion, based on anecdotal evidence. Lots of playing. 13 stands. See, look how important that 8 is. That's the card you want. It's not the card you want there. 20. Moving up to 2.2 for Chuck. Take a peek. Not there. 15. 17. 14. 19. That was a loss of 2.2, so now you're moving up to 4.4. Pretty sure that Chuck is actually up so far in the shoe. 11, 21, 12, 16, 22, 22. I meant to say too many. It's obviously not 22, 26. Okay, so from 3.5, because remember you lost when you were at the 1.5 on the positive progressive side. It's 3.7, so I need to give you, so you're going to gain 0.7 units. I'm going to do it, again, this way. I'm going to give you 4.5, taking 0.1. And I'm going to pick up the cards and all your chips. Now you see, take them away right away. Has anybody else ever seen that happen in the casino? Where they mistakenly just wipe the slate clean and take your next wager with it? Of course, if you see something like that, say something. If you see something, say something. There's another question. I'm pretty sure we're not going to split those 4s. No, we don't split those 4s. Another question is, when they make a mistake in your favor, they pay you when you shouldn't have been paid. What do? It's like when you're at the 20. It's like when you're at the grocery store and they give you back, you give them a 10 and they give you change for a 20. Something like that. If you pay cash. Who pays with cash? It's all credit. All on the card. But anyways, what do? You say something? Dealer pays you when they shouldn't have. Like, you had a 16 and they got, let's say you had an 18, the dealer had a 19, or something like that, and they pay you instead of taking your chips. Did you say anything? That's going to stand. Pair of 2s for 4, 14, 18. Okay, so 1 out of your lost balance, CLB, plus 1.2, so that's your gain for that hand. Honestly, to tell you the truth, when that happens, I don't look at the dealer knowingly, like, or like, hey, thank you, I don't do anything. The only thing I may do, you're starting your cycle over again right at the top, is a few hands later, I may post an extra tip wager for the dealer. Something which none of you ever do for me, so don't expect me to pay you when you're not supposed to get paid. Uh-oh. Okay, 13, 14, 15, 18. Correct? 11, 13, 14, 15, 18. Yep. Yeah, if and when that happens, if you decide that you're not going to say anything, and honestly, I don't really feel like you're obliged to say anything. The casino's already ripping you off. Don't if you're not going to say anything, don't even hint about it. You never know. You could get the dealer in trouble because for whatever reason, like if they go, you overpaid that guy, he made a gesture to you, and you still did nothing about it. That might get him fired. 18, 20. So don't do anything. If you want to somehow, especially if it was like a large wager that happened on, do something, give the dealer a tip later. Usually that is in the form of placing a bet for the dealer alongside yours. So like if you wanted to, those of you that aren't familiar, if you wanted to wager for the dealer as a tip, you would put it right there. Okay, so then the dealer is in on the hand with you. The outcome of, if they lose, if you lose, the dealer gets nothing, but if he wins, he gets twice as much as you put out. See? So 18. So you would, I'm going to give it back to you, don't worry. That goes in the rack, goes to the house. Nobody gets it. But if it won, I'd pay it, but then the dealer would bring it over here and, tap, 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 drop it in the box, and then they do whatever they do with it at the end of the shift. Split it up with, I don't know exactly how the split goes, but I do know that it makes up a sizable portion of the dealer's compensation. That's some of their pay. All right, anyways, well, this is the first that we've gotten down here, 9.6. If we don't win this, then we get into the really weird stuff that I'm not sure I agree with this system. I'll probably really go into detail on that in the summary. I didn't go into it so much on the first shoe because I didn't understand what was happening as much, but now that I've done it 7 for 7 shoes, I get it a whole lot better. Hopefully you do too after watching all the videos all the way through, every single one, liking and subscribing for each one. Anyways, 9.6 for Chuck right here. And so nice that you just have it right there. I don't have to make change. Good luck. Soft 16 to a 9, you're just going to hit. Hard 15, you got to hit that again. 21. 15, too many. 25. So that's 9.6. So you got 4.4 plus 2.2. That's 6.6 plus 1 is 7.6. So you close out gain of 2 units. Okay, that's pretty nice. I'll clean that up, don't worry. And you're out of the negative progression. You go back to the top of the flow chart, the sequence, however you want to think of it. Single unit. Here we go. $13 hits. 17. 16. 17. Push. Repeat. No change. No progression. Positive or negative. Take a peek. It's not there. 9. 17. 20. And moving over to the negative progressive side of things. 2.2. Well, I don't have to really peek, I'll just reveal. 16, too many. There, and 1 plus 1.2 makes 2.2, so 1.2 is your gain. And starting over, back at the top. You're doing well right now. Chuck does say in his original video that once you get up a certain amount, which he says is 19 times your base bet. So for us, if you were up by 19 units, that's a good time to leave the table. or if you are down 26 to 29 times your base bet, it's a good time to leave the table. I don't do that here because I want to go through the entire shoe. Does it maybe mess with the system a little? Yeah, but kind of, since I'm not exiting the shoe early for either being up or down, maybe it evens out mostly. I mean, and you're not up by 19 units yet. Quickly here, maybe you're close. I mean, you're up 15 or so. You're very close. You know, and that's something, you know, that's money management, that's discipline. That's a whole nother thing. I'm trying to look at how does the system perform. I guess in continuous play. It's the only way I can really think to do this. Because you could do that with any system where you leave early when you're up. Like you could use the worst system in the world, but if you get up by a single unit, hold on, soft 17 to a 5. You didn't have to look that up. That's a double down. But you know, if you say, well, once I'm up by 3 units, I'm out of there. Well, that's usually not hard to do, but depending on your system, you know, you could be having to overcome a lot more than 3 units. So 6, 16, 12 to a 17, 13. Uh-oh, we're in the 8s territory here. Whew. Saved by the 9. Let's just make sure. 22. And here is always a good thing for the player when the house runs out of chips and needs to get change. I'm not out of chips, but I do need change. This probably puts, like I was saying, that win on a double down probably puts you very close to 19. I'm not going to take the time to add it up since it doesn't really matter, but this might be a good time to exit if you were Chuck and you were following that. That was a single unit win from the top, so I'm going to put the marker on, and if we win again, we'll go up to 1.5. Hold on, let me just make sure we're still recording. It looks like it. One of the shoes here, things got screwed up. Before we try to double down, let's make sure that there's not an ace for a dealer blackjack, and single card, 21. Hold on. Yeah. Sorry. 16, 26. There, right there. By the way, that's hand 36. Both sides are doing well here. The flat better is up as well. Not, I don't believe, as much as Chuck Temple. Here at 1.5. 12 is not going to hit to a 4. 13. Guess what? I need change again. I'm going to take it from the flat player this time. 1.5. And dropping Chuck Temple back down to single unit. 8 of clubs. 11. Oops. Don't forget to double down for a 14, 11, 20. All right. All good things come to an end, and all bad things make losing streaks go on and on, don't they? Hope not. Come on. 7. 15 will stand. 16. 23. So there's 2 back. Hold on. Ah. 2.2. So you gained 0.2 units that time since you went out on a loss of We need to double down. And with that win, you close your negative progression. Start back up at the top, single unit. 14 hits. 24. 12. All right, that was hand 40. Is that right? Yeah, hand 40. So at least 5 more is what we expect. Almost every shoe we get at least 45 hands playing this way. It would be obviously different if you had more positions playing, but we don't. Insurance closed. Basic strategy says decline insurance in all situations. It's not there, so we go ahead and play. 22. Bullets. And that puts Chuck Temple in the position of going to 4.4. Eight hits to a 6. 13 stands. 10. 20. Alright, so after 4.4 in the sequence comes 9.6. And take a peek. Not there. I'm looking for the ace. 14 hits. 24. Too many. Okay, it has happened. Let me bring up the chart. Blah, blah, blah. Moving down. You lost 1. You lost 2.2. You lost at 4.4. Now you just lost at 9.6. Chuck says, you are on a losing streak. Okay, you're on a losing streak. So instead of like other things like martingale, Paroli, Fibonacci, where you just keep pressing, making the bet bigger and bigger and bigger, Chuck says, nope, stop doing that. You're on a losing streak. Drop your wager down to a single unit. Well, he doesn't say single unit, but that's what it correlates to. If you keep losing at single unit, you just keep playing at single unit until you win, and then once you win, you figure out what your CLB is, which is why I'm keeping track of it over here, and how you're going to do that in the casino, I don't know, and you wager 40% of your current loss balance, your CLB. If you lose that, you reassess, or you add it up again, and you do another 40% CLB, until you win your 40% CLB, and then you've closed out. The problem is, you are going to end up closing out your sequence for a loss. And this will start just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Basically, you can only afford to do it a couple times. And I think we've gotten to this point in every single shoe. Now, Chuck says in his video that, you know, this is basically the meat and potatoes of the system. And once you get into here, this happens so rarely that it's nothing to worry about. So you lost a little bit. Big deal. You made so much over here. This happens all the time. That's, as far as I can tell, that's a fact. And what I don't like about it is that whereas like martingale, you win one, once you finally win in martingale, you're out for a gain of 1, assuming you can afford it. Here you have to win 2 in a row. And I think I've mentioned this in other videos. It's a lot like the stock market, where things are dropping down, 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 and finally things bounce back up for a day, called the dead cat bounce, and then they drop off again and continue to go down. That can very easily happen. 1, 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Oh, I got to win. Doesn't mean you're going to win the next hand. You could just go back to losing. Lose, 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 win, lose, 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 until you finally get that second win. You know, of course, if you go lose, 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 win, win, okay, that's not so bad. But I'll save more of that for discussion in the summary. So we lost the 9.6, so we're at the single unit wager now. At the bottom of the chart for Chuck Temple. Looking for a win, two wins to get out of this, okay? 12 hits. 20. 16. Too many. Okay, so there's one of them. So now we take that. I'm going to take that all the way off for Chuck because I don't want to get confused. I almost did this in one of the shoes, one of the early ones. Let's see what our CLB is. And how you're going to keep track of this at the casino, I'm not sure. Maybe I would try to revise the system in some way that rather than calling it 40% CLB, figure out what that CLB should be. And if it's off a little bit because you have a bunch of losses right here, so what? It's just single units after losing all of this. So you'd be close enough. And you're seeking to close out for a loss anyways. I'll try to figure some of that out for the summary. Anyways, that's 9, 10, 15 and a half, 16.2. Let me get the calculator. 16.2, 40%. I mean, it's going to be around 6.5. What did I say that was? 10, 15, 16.2. 16.2 times 0.4, 6.48. So let's just, now this is your loss over here. I could almost do 6.48. We're just going to do 6.5. That's close enough, right? You're looking for a win. If you lose, we have to add it up again and do another 40%. Hopefully, though, you win. 12, 21, 11, 21, push. Doesn't say what to do in case of a push, so we just do the same thing over again. 12, hit, 18, 14, I don't know, 23, too many. Okay, so you got out of it. In my opinion, that's fortunate. But as you will see, 6.5 right there. Once we clear this out, by the way, that was hand 46, so we definitely made it to the expected 45. And like I noted, when I cut the deck or put the penetration card in, I put it a little deep. So it doesn't matter. If you're counting cards, you're not changing anything you do, or I'm not changing anything. You're just playing straight through. And that's the reason why they put that penetration card in there, so that there's enough mystery left in the deck. So anyways, that's 5 plus 4 is 9 and a half, 0.7. So you're walking away from 9.7, but you are out of the sequence. Back at the top, single unit wager. $13 stands. 9, 11, 12, 15. Too many. And put the little marker on there and take those cards away. You don't, unless you want that 13. It worked for you last time. Oh, but wouldn't you rather have an 11 that you could double down with? Single card, 20, 9, 14, 16, 23. And that will get Chuck going up to 1.5. Here for hand 49. Insurance closed. It's not there. 14 hits. Too many. 23 that would be. 616 for the dealer. And that puts Chuck out of his positive progression and on to wagering 2.2, for which he needs some change. Okay. There is the cut. So this will be the last hand. Hand 50. Great. 17 stands. 13, you don't want the 8. 16. Make sure. 19. Lose. And shoe is over. Table's closed. Casino is closed. So, you know, if you're in a regular casino situation, but usually they don't close things down. It does happen sometimes. Smaller casinos, cruise ships, things like that. So it's up to you on the next shoe. Do you pick up where you left off? You would be moving up to a wager of 4.4, or do you start over at the beginning? That's the question I put out for most systems. Personally, I just start over every single time at the top, brand new. But you can do what you like. Your money. Okay, just gonna basically color you in just a little. Alright, let's add up the flat player first. I'm pretty sure he's in the positives, but and it looks like Chuck did do better this time. So that's, let's just see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, right there. That's what you came in with, 50 units. So all of this, gain of 9. Let me do it like this. Okay, help me keep track. There's your 9. All right, Chuck, you're up. Up, Chuck. All right, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65.4. Gain of 14 and 4 in 50 hands. Now that sounds pretty good, right? I mean, it's was that 9? So it's 7.4 units more than the flat player, but you can see by the flat player that was a good shoe. Problem here is, hold on, that there have been plenty of other shoes where Chuck has not done so well, and we'll find out in the summary. Does this win help offset those losses? Did I get that right? No, hold on, something's not. So I'll count it again. That one I know is right. That's gain of 9. 10, 20, 25. Actually, sorry. 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Oh. Now I'm all screwed up. Sorry. Hey, fast forward. 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. So 15.4. Yeah, I had... That's too many. Right? Yeah, okay, there we go. 15.4 for Chuck. Okay, so 50 hands, gain of 9, gain of 15.4. So, right, got it right this time. All right, finally we are out of the Chuck Temple shoes. Next comes the summary. So, great. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and catch you on the next one. Bye.